Hi, Panas, I'm Rajesh Jala. I'm a filmmaker from India. I have a film here. It's called The Spark. It is in competition at Vesoul. Such a fantastic, charming, warm festival. And yeah.
Okay, so since you mentioned Vesoul, let's start with that. How was the reaction of the audience here in Vesoul of the film?
The response is very, very good, very warm, and people loved the film. And people came to me. A number of people who were like partly shocked and partly surprised with the kind of film it is. And I'm really happy that I have come here to present the film.
Okay. And tell me a bit about the inspiration of the story behind it. It's based on some real events, or can you tell me a bit about that?
I think many years, for last 7, 8 or whatever years, there have been a number of, sorry?
Speak up a bit.
So there have been a number of lynching incidents in India where the radical religious extremists have lynched a number of minority people, and this film is about one such incident. It's not based on any reality as such, but it's a generalization of what has happened in the last few years with regard to lynching.
Okay, would you in general say that Indian society is violent?
Sorry?
Indian society is violent? There seemed all the movies I watched, there seemed to be like the violence is lurking.
I think most of the societies across the globe have some element of violence in. Of course, India has also some element of violent elements in our society. I won't call it a violent society, but there are elements of violence in our society. And those sometimes get more sort of aggressive and dangerous, and that is what the film partly talks about.
And also you chose to combine the documentary with fiction. Well, why did you choose this approach?
I think you know what, it is actually, from my point of view as a filmmaker, it is not a documentary and fiction. It is for me a fiction film wherein the character, the protagonist of the film, is a filmmaker in disguise, and he is shooting some parts of the city and some characters. And the parts he's shooting is in letter and spirit, the approach is documentary approach. So there is a reason. The character is a filmmaker, he's shooting a documentary. So I would say that is an integral part of the fiction.
Okay. And was that difficult, you think?
Not really. I have a documentary background, and I wanted to bring an element of reality in the film. And I think that this approach helped me to incorporate the reality in the narrative. And for me, I thought it worked. And it was not difficult because I've been making documentaries for a long time.
Okay. So now that you made this, which do you prefer?
Sorry?
Now that you made this film, which do you prefer? Fiction or documentary, you think?
I don't want to categorize myself as a fiction or a non-fiction filmmaker. In my heart of hearts, I'm a filmmaker. I think it depends on the kind of subject you deal with, the kind of approach you choose to make that film, and above all, the resources you have to make that film, because documentary is less expensive, fiction is more expensive. So in future, if I have a subject which demands a documentary approach, then I would go for documentary. If I have money, then I'll go for fiction. If I don't have money, then I'll go for documentary. It's a choice one has to make, made on many factors, depending on many factors.
And tell me a bit, how did the casting work for the film?
The casting, the protagonist of the film is from theatre background. It's his debut film. So we started doing the casting, and I was looking for somebody who could dedicate himself to the project rather than you know, an assignment wherein the actor is locked for a period of time and then he leaves. So this was an actor who was working in theatre, Kabir, and he is a very committed and a dedicated actor. So he lived with us for almost 3.5 years, partly because the film got stretched because of the pandemic, and we had to stop the shooting and all that. But I'm really grateful that we got Kabir as the main lead of the film, who really worked, and he sort of dedicated 3.5 years of his life to the project. And so he is a professional actor, as a theatre actor. The other two actors, the cremator boy is obviously he's not an actor, so he is a real cremator. I was there. I worked at this cremation ground for a long time. My earlier film, Children of the Pyre, I shot it there. I shot at the cremation ground for 20 months or so. So I know a lot of people there. I know a lot of things about that place. So I shortlisted a few young cremators. Then I spent time with those shortlisted young cremators. Then Durga, who is the actor, now actually the cremator, now the actor. So he was finalized because he was more serious about this assignment, and it worked. And I thought he's done a remarkable job. His performance, I loved his performance. Actually, people also liked his performance. Yeah.
In general, you allow improvisation, or are you strict with your
No, I'm not strict at all. I don't believe in strictness. I believe in evolving at every stage. There is a screenplay. There is a although the film has limited dialogues, but I think every actor or even non-actor brings in an element of aesthetics which improvise the whole script or the content or the whole film. So nothing is locked. I don't lock everything. I'm more than open to incorporating nuances of the actors, of the spaces, of the elements which we shoot in, and that really enhances the value of the cinema.
Okay. And there are some repetitious scenes in the film, some scenes that come back and back again. So tell me a bit about this.
Which parts?
I like the one where he is staring at that mural.
Okay.
So yeah, tell me a bit about that.
I think there are two parts. One is the Shiva painting. Varanasi is a city of Shiva, Lord Shiva. Hindus believe that this is a city of Shiva. So if you go to Varanasi, you will find a lot of Shiva's presence in the alleys or otherwise in the city. So it is the main deity of the city is Shiva. So in the restaurant scene, if you see the character is sitting, his reflection is on the glass, and in the background there is this Shiva painting mural, and then in the alley in between, so there is a reflection on the glass, there is Shiva, and in between there is action happening in the alley. So if you watch it, if you observe it carefully, it's a 3-layered kind of a visual. So there is Shiva's presence in that frame, and there is action happening in the alley, and there is reflection of this character. So it is some kind of a juxtaposition between what is happening around the character, and some elements of the action in the alley is also a reflection of the inner thoughts of the character. Okay. So like if you see the iron grill coming, the two people coming, the two laborers coming with the iron grill, and the reflection of the protagonist is here, his head, and the iron grill, the laborers stopped at this particular point, and because something is approaching, the funeral is approaching, so they stop here. If you see the grills, the iron grills hitting and sort of entering into the reflection of the image of the character. And then gradually the procession comes, the funeral procession comes. So I think there is a certain, we have attempted to layer the visual, the imagery of the film with a certain intention. I don't know how, have we been able to communicate, has it reached to the audiences? That is a debatable thing, but we've tried.
And tell me a bit more general about the cinematography of the film, what you wanted to do in the visual aspect, let's say.
I have a very strong visual inclination. I think if you ask me as a filmmaker, my first preference of communication is image rather than spoken words. I depend a lot on imagery and sound. And from the screenwriting stage to the execution and eventually the final post-production part, the image and the sound is my primary language. At least I give preference to that. So throughout the film there is a constant kind of a, I rely on imagery and sound to share the stories.
Okay.
And the sound also, there is a lot of sound in the film. It's loaded with sound, and the sound, it's not like, it's not only the ambient sound, there are many layers of sound which have certain relevance and significance in each scene. And this kind of film is essentially meant for big screen with a 5.1 surround audio. If you don't watch it on the big screen, if you don't watch it on the surround sound 5.1, you will miss out so many details, because there are so many details in the sound, and there are the imagery. If you magnify the image and if you watch it on a laptop, you will miss so many details in the image because you won't notice those details in the laptop. This is a film meant essentially and primarily for big screen.
Okay.
It is designed for big screen.
I understand. And about editing, what you want to do, let's say, with the pace of the film?
Yeah, okay, so, sorry, elaborate the question, please.
Like, okay, the film moves slowly, let's say. So tell me a bit, how did you work on the editing to achieve this pace, the slow pace, let's say?
I think slowly, of a pace you define slow or fast is a very relative kind of a term.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, I would not call it a slow pace film. I would call it a natural kind of a pace film, because that is the pace I chose to have in the film. The pace sometimes, I think the pace is also a part of the narrative. It is a part of the storytelling. If you make the same film, if you re-edit the same film with a different pace, it will have a different meaning. So the pace is very important for this kind of film, or for any kind of film. So I wanted this pace because I wanted to move gradually. Because the tone, the pace, the image, the sound, and the mood of the film, I believe the pace complements the whole scheme of the things there. I think that is the pace I would have chosen anyways.
Okay. And tell me a bit, what's your opinion of the Malayalam film industry?
Sorry?
Of the local film industry, what do you think?
Indian film industry?
Malayalam, the film is Malayalam.
Bollywood?
The film is Hindi or Malayalam?
This is a Hindi film.
It's a Hindi film.
It's a Hindi film. It's
I
not a
got
Malayalam.
confused, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me a bit about Hindi film industry.
Hindi film, the Bombay film industry is very rich industry, and it's doing commercially very well, financially very well, and but I don't belong to that world.
You're independent. And so it's easy for you to survive?
I'm trying to be independent. I don't know if I am independent, but I'm trying to be independent. But I don't belong to that world.
But so is it easy to survive financially as independent?
Well, you don't survive if your demands are luxurious. Then, but if you cut down on the luxury part of your demand, then you may survive. So I think there isn't money in independent cinema. No, there is no money, hardly. It's a struggle to make the film, forget about earning a livelihood out of this. But I think it's essentially driven by passion. I'm not making films to primarily earn money. I'm not keen to be rich.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the last question, I guess, next projects, are you working on any new
I am
film?
writing a film on Kashmir.
Kashmir.
and
Okay.
I belong to Kashmir. I belong to Kashmiri Pandit community, which is a minority community in Kashmir, and we were forced out of Kashmir in 1990 by the militants, and 350,000 of Kashmiri Pandits have to leave the valley. And I also, when I left Kashmir and I lived in a refugee camp for 9-10 years in Delhi.
Really?
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know.
the Kashmir story is very important for me and very closer to my heart.
But can you return there now, or you're not
I
allowed?
do return. I do go sometimes there, but not. But as a tourist type.
Okay.
Not. I am not. I'm not. I don't think the political situation has reached where we can go back and live there. I think that it might take a long time. I don't know how long.
Yeah. So there is still trouble with China and stuff there, or
Yeah, but it's little better than before. The law and order and killings have reduced. But it's not completely normal. It's a political conflict, and I hope it gets better.
okay. Well, that's it.
Thank you very much.